on the Natural Alessio. This is Max Danzig. Essentially Kingfisher. Hey, Mark Machine Omni. This is Kurt Batman Pellegrino. Hey, this is Rashad.
Hey, this is Joe Dirksen. You're listening to Full Contact Fighter Radio with Jeff Wombat Mazeros.
You're listening to Full Contact Fighter Radio with Jeff Wombat Mazeros.
All right, welcome back to Full Contact Fighter Radio with myself, Jeff Wombat Mazeros. We're joined, as we're always joined, by James Michael Kolaris. And James, I'm pretty sure you just woke up.
Yeah, I did. I got this fight coming up next weekend, and I'm doing the 2-a-day training thing, so I do a lot of training and then sleeping, so yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of...
So I'm trying to get chipper again, but the good news about today was that today I didn't have to spar, which I'm sparring at least, 25, 30 rounds a week.
Jeez.
And tonight is a day that not one single person punched me in the face. That's good.
That's delightful. That's
my favorite part.
No, that's every day for me. Most days I go without someone punching me in the face.
Yeah. I'm thinking I need to work on that.
Well, take up some pajama wrestling. Join jiu-jitsu, where there's a big sign right on the wall that says no punching, and then no kicking, no striking of any kind, just chokes and arm locks.
Yeah, but see, I'm freaked out. Those arm locks, those things freak me out, man. I remember the last time I did any jiu-jitsu was actually on that visit to Vancouver when I came to your club. And anytime someone got close to it, when I could tell someone was thinking about a choke, I tapped.
Really?
Like, It was like if an arm bar was imminent, or not even close to it. Let's say someone just had on my arm and looked like he was pulling my arm forward. I was tapping, going, ah!
Really?
I just don't like I can take blunt trauma all day long, but when it comes to any sort of joint manipulation, it just freaks me out. That's why I'm a striker, man.
So you would prefer a woman to slap you hard? You would prefer a woman to slap you hard in the face rather than give you a back massage?
Yeah, there's a difference. There's a little bit of a difference between you and your cronies trying to choke me and a woman's massaging my back. Come on, give me that.
No, there's not that much of a difference. It's gentle application of pressure.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, but I'm really having a hard time with that connection.
Okay, cool. Well, whatever. If it makes you feel any better, I feel your pain, because when I was in Brazil, my day basically consisted of wake up, go train, and then grapple like crazy. And in Brazil, training where I trained consisted of getting there, like a 2-minute warm-up that basically consisted of shaking people's hands was the warm-up, and then it was like 90 minutes to 2 hours of savagery, and then go home, and rest on the beach for a while or whatever, and then go back to training in the evening, and the same thing happens again. The warm-up is like, high five a few people, and then it's like 2 hours of insane savagery.
Yeah, that's. The only thing that's good about feeling so worn out is when you do something like that, when you do lay down, or let's say you have your cheat meal and you eat something fatty because damn it, you're worth it and people like you or whatever reason it is, you actually kind of feel really good. Like laying on a couch with your scratching your stomach and drooling at a screen. Yeah. It's never felt so right. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm doing right now, and I deserve it. Damn it.
Yeah.
I hope a lot of people see me doing this, and they can see that this is righteous and correct.
Yeah, I remember,
and that I'm right in the world.
Yeah, I remember once in a single day, I went for a long run, I did some yoga, I did a jiu-jitsu class, and then I think when I got home, I sat on my couch in my underwear and watched a movie and ate a piece of pizza, and I was so happy I nearly started to cry.
Yeah. See, that's almost. You could go so far as to say that that's one of the reasons why I do Thai boxing. Is because I enjoy, after Thai boxing, feeling justified in doing nothing. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, makes a lot of sense indeed. Anyway, we should get on to talking about actual fights besides our fights, because let
me make one comment about the guys we're about to talk about real fast. Because I want to give some props to all these career fighters. I do this twice a year. That's it. And the reason I do it twice a year is because I like to do things like eat and drink what I want. I like to, hang out. The guys we're about to talk about do this all year long with the exception of a few weeks. And that is probably why it's before a fight that I always think about professional fighters and get profound sense of respect and admiration, and also sadness when I think of the fact that the dudes we're about to talk about have no fun except for like immediately after they fight someone.
That's not true.
You know?
That's not true at all. They have fun.
Well, actually, it's different in MMA. The MMA guys only fight 3 to 4 times a year. In boxing and Muay Thai, those guys fight 12 times a year.
Yeah, exactly. And so in MMA, these guys fight maybe 3-4 times a year, right? So they're not fighting 6 times a year. They're getting months off here and there where they can eat whatever they want, and women throw themselves. The Maria Tatames, the mat girls, throw themselves at these guys. That's the expression in Portuguese. If it's a girl that loves fighters, it's called a Maria Tatame. And
why?
Tatame is the name of the mat, right? And Maria is a girl's name. Anyway, if you call a girl Maria Tatame, it means she's a girl that loves fighters. And I have seen them, I have met them, and I almost qualify seeing as I do jiu-jitsu. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the point is, if you want to look at somebody that has no fun, you look at a pro wrestler. That guy, he has to go. He lives out of a van or whatever, and then he does not even a real fight every weekend, and he's not even allowed to not get hit. In MMA or in Muay Thai and boxing, whatever, at least you're allowed to move. In pro wrestling, it is your job. It is your job to get hit, and not even with fists, with chairs, with pieces of wood. Have you seen the movie The Wrestler starring Mickey Rourke?
I was wondering when you were going to come around to this, because, I have. It's an incredible movie, and I highly recommend it, sure.
Yeah, that's the people you should feel sorry for. Don't feel sorry. The guys that we're going to talk about, yeah, I mean, they do hard work, but, they should be actually more financially well rewarded. But the point is that they have entire stretches of weeks, months sometimes even, where they just sit around and they can eat whatever they want and just, they can see what girl texts them and then just go from there, right? So some of them have pretty good lives. But you look at a wrestler, you watch The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, or if you watch Beyond the Mat, which is really messed up, then you see that a pro wrestler, man, that guy's life stinks.
Actually, you know what? I stand corrected. I think that is that's probably pretty accurate, man.
Yeah.
Now I feel kind of depressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, I mean, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that if you were a UFC fighter, the girls that you have to choose from in terms of like the Maria Tatames, they're probably pretty hot. But if you are a wrestler, if you are a pro wrestler, the girls you have to choose from are probably not as hot. Maybe not even average. Because pro wrestling fans are generally...
I think so. I think you're probably right, but
Yeah. So even the...
I think it was China. No, do you remember the big... When I think of pro wrestling chicks, I think of women that kind of share many of the same physical traits as the wrestlers themselves.
Nope, I don't.
Yeah.
I think of women that look a little bit like Chris Farley, but with a bad haircut.
Jeez.
What?
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
No, it really doesn't, and that is why it's... And plus, in pro wrestling, you're getting paid... In MMA, you're getting paid to hit the other person. In pro wrestling, you're getting paid for the other person to hit you.
And for you to make it look good.
Yeah, and you have to take that hit in the dome and make it look good. That's not a good job. If you were to just like write down the summary of a pro wrestler's job, I don't think it would come out sounding awesome.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. They make $1 bajillion a piece.
Yeah, and then they spend...
Yeah, American pro wrestlers are wealthy. Not Mickey Rourke per se in the movie, but today, like actual WWE stars are wealthy beyond the wildest imaginings of people like you and I.
Hey, you want to run down the WWE stars that have either committed suicide or been killed in the last few years?
Yeah, since we're on enough.
Hey, whatever.
Since we're on enough note.
Yeah, whatever happened to Jake the Snake Roberts? Hey, didn't he get addicted to crack? Doesn't he have like a giant, problem with that? And then, or what about the guy with Coco Beware, the guy with the bird? I'm pretty sure him and the bird are both addicted to crack and living in a trailer in an alley somewhere.
Soon, Captain Lou Albano.
I'm pretty sure that guy's dead. He choked.
Yeah, actually, I don't know what happened to him. I was saying it because it sounds like you have an inordinate knowledge of pro wrestlers. So I just said Captain Lou Albano to see if you knew something about Captain Lou Albano that would surprise me and entertain me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that guy choked to death on one of the elastic bands he used to wear as accessories. Anyway, my point is this. You're saying what? You're saying that pro wrestlers make millions of dollars. I agree, but that's the middle of the story. The end of the story, it ends with crack, suicide, death, and depression. Maybe not even in that order, but depression, suicide, and then death, something like that, right?
You know that Batista is one of my buddies, right?
Does he still do pro wrestling? Does he still do pro wrestling?
He does, and he's still. I just want to say that Batista is my boy. He's my boy, like B-O-Y. Well, actually, there's no way to spell that cool. Anyway,
you gave birth to Batista. He is your boy. He is your son.
I did. I gave birth to him, and we went to college together. But the point is that he's still kind of in his awesome stage. I don't know what that proves, but I'm just saying Batista's awesome.
Well, certain guys like Brock Lesnar and whoever, they get out at the right time. They do it, they make their money, then they get the hell out of there, and other people stick around a touch too long, like, say, Hulk Hogan or whoever, although he's still around, I guess. And they, the chapters get more and more depressing. It's like Flowers for Algernon. The middle of the story is good, and then it just sort of goes down after that. Have you read the story Flowers for Algernon?
No, but you know what? I want to make a comment. I want to make the observation that it has come up on this particular podcast twice in the last 2 months, making this the most obscure MMA podcast on air.
Yeah, well, I'll take that. The point is that the book is not about pro wrestling, but the plot lines follow the career. It starts off sad, and then it gets happy, and then it gets sad again. And I won't tell you how. And it's not about pro wrestling, but let's just move on. Whatever. Let's just move on. All right. Let's talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk about UFC Fight for the Troops 2, January 22nd in Fort Hood, Texas, United States. Because when you're in the Army, you don't see enough fighting, and you need someone. And you need someone to provide you with fights to see when you're in the Army. I think that's fair.
I like that.
Well,
I like that. I'd like to congratulate you for that last one. That was pretty good.
Years ago, if you were in the Army, your entertainment treat was Bob Hope telling you jokes while standing on the deck of a battleship. Right?
Or a Playboy bunny singing a song and being frustratingly clothed at the time.
Yes, yeah. Or that. So you basically had a choice between like guys like Bob Hope or Rodney Dangerfield or whoever telling you jokes while standing betwixt giant, anti-aircraft guns, or a woman that will not have sex with you, acting in a manner that
having sex with you.
Yeah, acting in a manner that suggests that she may have sex with you, even though you both know she's not gonna. Anyway, so those are things of the past. Now, entertainment for the troops consists of mixed martial arts. And anybody that's listened to this podcast knows that I find mixed martial arts very, very exciting. I think it's good quality entertainment. I think it's wholesome family entertainment, mixed martial arts. What I do not agree with, however, is the UFC's continual use of media manipulation to suggest that mixed martial arts is somehow similar to the combat that the Army faces in the battlefield, where they say, hey, if you're a fan of mixed martial arts, why not take a gun, go to a foreign country, and shoot somebody? You know what I mean? If you love fighting, then you love fighting. You know what I mean? Like, ultimate fighting is not the same as war. You know what I mean? Even though. Well,
I have a different spin on this than what you're saying, but but keep going. I'll give you my spin.
Well, I was done.
I kind of see a different angle.
I was done. Actually, I was finished.
Well, here's the angle. You have to understand. I mean, using the concept of the concept of demographic research and following down the rabbit trail that is. The UFC marketing department, the guys that are really trying to grow this sport, you go the path of least resistance, and there are people that understand mixed martial arts for what it is. I would say guys like us, but obviously the people that listen to this podcast. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you were a casual fan of MMA. Because we talk about specific fighters, we get into obscure details, we get into obscurity. But the point is that, forgetting us there is a group of people and I'm speaking specifically of America because that's where I live and that's what I see, that are either in the military or are from small towns in the middle states of this country that there's a good old God bless the USA American thing going on in that demographic. Unfortunately, the military aspect of that is so strong that the UFC feels the need to make a connection to that so that it drums up the nationalism/patriotism of American fans and draws those two things together, making the UFC part of a big, crisp, shiny, flapping American flag. And the military thing happens to be the catalyst to that. And that's an American thing. That's an American thing. That's not a Canadian thing. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying because I have cousins, I have family members that are in the military, and the quickest way to get people watching what you do, even my cousins in the military talk about this. Whenever you start throwing the word "support the troops" around in America, Americans get really riled up. And on the negative side, if you, God forbid, you seem like you're a person who doesn't support the troops, whatever the word support happens to mean in your mind. If you seem like a person that doesn't, then you're an asshole, and why wouldn't you? So, they know that that's a buzzword, and they throw that buzzword around. You see what I mean? There's a real buzz to it. It's not, I don't know that it's as much mixed martial arts following, the act of doing a mixed martial arts sport being the same thing as warfare. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's following that bright, shiny American flag.
So you're suggesting that the UFC aligns itself with the military for the same reason that the military recruits people from the parking lot outside Walmart and Target?
Yes.
Actually, I really didn't think you would agree with that, but that's cool. You know what? This has gotten way off.
Why would I agree with that?
I don't know. Beats me. I thought that was. See, the point is, I like to do this. I sort of, once I sort of understand the point that someone is making, I purposely give them an example that I think doesn't agree with the point they just made. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if someone starts talking to me, just to really frustrate them, if someone starts telling me about, how you should do yoga every day and how yoga calms the inner mind, I will say to them, so you think yoga should be illegal? And they'll be like, what? No, that's the opposite of what I just, I'll listen to them and I'll nod thoughtfully, but then after a lot of thoughtful nodding, I will give an example that shows to them that fundamentally I do not understand anything they just said. And I was trying to do that with you, but it didn't really work because you actually agreed with me. So I guess I accidentally understood what you mean. Anyway, you know what? Let's just move on. This has gotten weird. I don't want to get into some weird Michael Moore thing here, where we're like,
Yeah, and also we should take a moment real fast at the end of this. I would like to take a moment at this end of this part of the podcast to say, number one, I am American. I do support the troops. My family members are in the military, and I love all of you people out there that somehow found a grain of things in that little diatribe I went on to get furious and angry about. So when you start writing hate mail to Jeff, which is a good thing, one thing I love about this podcast, you don't know how to find me, but you could write hate mail to Jeff. So anyway, when you start to do that, understand that I agree with you too. How about that? All the people that will get mad by what I said.
What did you?
By me being.
I don't.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting that you agree with them in that they hate me, or are you suggesting that you agree with them?
No, I'm just saying. I agree with everyone, and I love everyone, and it's all good.
I just don't want anybody to get shot. At the end of the day, my thing is people getting shot is a bad thing.
Yeah, but you can't shoot me. I live near the Pentagon, man. I live 1 mile from the U.S. Pentagon. There's way too much grass around here, man.
Fine, good, whatever. Rewind. All I'm saying is that no matter what the UFC wants you to believe, okay, there's a fundamental difference between punching somebody in the face who has agreed to get into a face-punching contest and shooting somebody in the face who has not agreed to this at all.
Yes, that is undisputable.
That is totally different no matter what the UFC wants you to believe. Now, well, having said that, let's move on. UFC Fight for the Troops 2 from Fort Hood, Texas, where they still have the frickin' death penalty in the United States.
I thought we were foregoing the political thing, but you just ripped up another hot button issue right there.
You think that's a coincidence that the UFC is going to a place where they have the death sentence? You know? We are one step away, my friend. We are one step away from a UFC inside a prison where the main event is two guys fighting to the death. And they'll do that beneath an American flag. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I thought I was showing some brass ones on the last thing. Now I'm just going to kind of like, I'm going to totally, I'm going to duck and cover on this one and let you take
What? You don't think that's as American as apple pie and an M16?
Yeah, I guess so. Do you want to talk about actual fights?
No.
This is going to get aired too, isn't it? That's the best part. Is this is actually going to go on air?
Yes, it is going to go on air. Hey, what? I'm just giving you my evaluation. Okay, whatever. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so live from Fort Hood, Texas, UFC Fight for the Troops 2, main event, Melvin Guillard versus Evan Dunham. Basically, this boils down to, you can summarize this as athleticism versus technique.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment of it. I think that Evan Dunham certainly is one of those guys that's on the rise. He's definitely, I wouldn't say he's quote-unquote in the mix of the top in the division, but he's one or two fights away. And I think that this is a classic situation of Joe Silva basically giving a guy a chance to prove that in no uncertain terms, because he's putting him in there against a mainstay UFC guy like Melvin Guillard. That you know, he's never going to, in my opinion, Melvin Guillard's never going to own. He's never going to have the title around his waist. But he is a very dangerous fighter, and he certainly is going to be knocking people out at least 2 or 3 more times before the end of his career.
Yeah.
So
you know who Melvin?
It's an interesting test.
You know who Melvin Guillard is?
Who?
You know what? You know how Melvin? You know where Melvin Guillard came from?
New Orleans.
Well, I was going to say that he actually sprouted. Remember when Kevin Randleman had that giant staph infection?
Yeah.
A bit of Kevin Randleman actually fell off. Like a part of his torso actually became detached, fell onto the ground, and kind of scurried away in sort of like an Alien's Resurrection sort of way, or like a John Carpenter's The Thing sort of way. A part of his torso fell off and scurried under a table, and then under there it got access to food and blonde hair dye, and it actually became Melvin Guillard.
Yeah, that's I can see that happening. That seems completely scientifically plausible.
It is plausible. What?
But you know what the thing is that it developed that thing that became Melvin Guillard actually developed a different set of techniques, because Melvin Guillard can strike a lot better than Kevin Randleman. So maybe it's like a development.
You mean Melvin Guillard can strike better than Kevin Randleman, who once knocked out Mirko Krokop in one of the worst knockouts in the history of mixed martial arts?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Snap. Oh, snap.
Did you just lean back in your chair?
I'm actually leaning forward in my chair right now. Anyway, Melvin Guillard, I'm pretty sure in the same way that Kevin Randleman still hasn't learned a triangle choke, Melvin Guillard, I'm not sure, really knows what's going on with that stuff. And Evan Dunham, meanwhile, he really, in my opinion, should have won his fight against Sean Shirk. That was not... I agree. I don't think his split decision loss to Sean Shirk was fair or cool in any way.
Nope. Neither do I.
Yeah.
I think that he really put him on. Especially, I think it was the second round of that fight where he just absolutely beat the dog snot.
Yeah, he really did.
Dog snot off of him.
Well, I remember from the Sean Shirk Evan Dunham fight, it started off bad, and then it got worse, and then it got even worse. Like, I remember during part of the fight, I was yelling, "Stop the fight! Stop the fight!" when, like, Evan Dunham was just waylaying Sean Shirk, waylaying him. I'm not even sure what the word waylay means, but If I were to define
It means that you catch someone en route to doing something else. So that actually wouldn't be good, because that would be like if he were going out of the octagon to maybe get something to drink or something. Evan Dunham.
If I were to define the word waylay only with a single picture, it would be a picture of someone holding, like a hockey stick but with the blade cut off, like someone holding that, beating someone else who's like blindfolded and in the crawling position.
Jeez. Okay.
That's how I would define the word waylay with a picture. Someone with a sawed-off hockey stick beating someone who's crawling on their hands and knees who is also blindfolded. That's, to me, that is what waylay means. And that's what Evan Dunham was doing that to Sean Shirk. As the fight went on, that became more and more like that. And so I really thought the fight should have been either stopped or at the least, unanimous decision to Evan Dunham. But whoever the hell was watching that fight, probably Cecil Peoples and Nelson Hamilton and whoever else is,
Well, I want to say something about Evan Dunham at this point. If he does, I honestly think that my hunch is that he will get by Melvin Guillard. My hunch is that he's going to do it.
He is going He's gonna literally river dance around Melvin Guillard. Guillard is gonna get in there, start fastballing punches at Dunham. Dunham's gonna pick him apart standing. Melvin Guillard's gonna instinctively slam Evan Dunham to the ground in the way that he does, and then Evan Dunham's gonna triangle him, probably in the first round. Because I really don't think, you're never gonna see Melvin Guillard release a DVD on triangle choke defenses. It's not gonna happen.
Sorry.
Melvin Guillard and Kevin Randleman are not going to pair up and make a book through Victory Belt on submission defense.
No. I think that we can't sell him too short in the sense that Kevin Randleman. Sorry, Melvin Guillard. You can't sell him too short because remember he's changed a lot in the sense that he is now training with Greg Jackson. He's been down there in Albuquerque for a while. He's changed his training up quite a bit. You never know. I mean, maybe he could come out a different fighter. Let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I give a guy the benefit of the doubt that anybody can change their game. I just think that overall, I think Evan Dunham is a rising star in the UFC. And I will say this: if he does get past Melvin Guillard, then the UFC owes it to him to give him someone that's in the immediate title contention to fight.
I'm going to tell you.
I think that it's time for him to be at the top.
I'm going to tell you two things, okay? And you tell me what conclusion you draw from these two facts, okay?
Okay.
You ready? Okay. Melvin Guillard has lost 8 fights. 7 of those losses are by submission. Okay, that's the first thing I'm telling you. The second thing is Evan Dunham, okay, has won 11 fights. 6 of those 11 are by submission. So, over half of Evan Dunham's wins are by submission, and I'm no master of fractions, but 7 out of the 8, I think that's 90% of Melvin Guillard's losses are by submission. So you tell me how you think this fight is going to unroll, and if you say anything other than Evan Dunham will submit Melvin Guillard, I will drive to your house, I will fill a pillowcase with pennies, and I will beat you to death in your sleep.
Next week sometime.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. Because it will take you probably, by car, it would take you about 6 days to get here.
Yeah, probably, yeah, it would.
Okay. I will be beaten to death midway through next week.
If you do not say precisely what I just told you to say, yes.
No, I agree. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that assessment. I think it's right on the money.
Good.
But yeah. And I said what I have to say about the fight, and also ultimately the conclusion of that. I think that, and if Melvin Guillard wins, which I think we're pretty much both in agreement that it's not going to happen, if he were to win, then Joe Silva, I think we all have to take a long, hard look at him and consider him quite differently, because I don't see him doing that. Anyway, go ahead.
Fine, whatever. Let's move on. The second fight, Matt Mitrione versus Tim Hague. So Tim Hague, fellow Canadian, the thrashing machine. Did you see Tim Hague's fight against Chris Tucherer in the UFC?
Yeah.
Did you think that he lost that fight? Because I certainly didn't. Again, it was the third round. Tim Hague was waylaying Chris Tucherer in a way that, Anyway, So he lost that one by majority decision, and then lost to Joey Beltran. And since then, he's knocked out two guys, Zach Jensen and Travis Few. And actually, his knockout of Travis Few was pretty savage. So.
Yeah, he's an enormous man with some good skills, and certainly certainly got a lot to offer. I think that Matt Mitrione is his biggest strength is he really wants it bad. He seems to be really determined. A and B, he seems from the fact that he's a former NFL player, he looks like one of those guys that has natural talent, natural athleticism.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
He does look better. I mean, he to be completely fair here, Matt Mitrione looks a lot better in every one of his fights. Mm-hmm. He is constantly improving.
Yep.
And I feel like when you see him, I feel like every time we see him in the octagon, we see a different Matt Mitrione.
No, it's the
so
same.
That makes
no, it's the same guy. It's the same guy. They did DNA testing. It is in fact the same person each time.
It's a figure of speech, my friend. But
what?
Still,
fine, whatever.
It's a figure of speech. But I'm just saying, I actually enjoy watching. I think they call him Meathead.
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoy watching him fight because of the fact that he does do things differently each time we see him. Yeah, I'll say that he does things differently. So, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, anyone who's played in the NFL is probably a fairly natural athlete that takes to any sport the same way a duck takes to water. So, Mitrione, I'm sure, is going to be a formidable opponent for Haig. And actually, there's part of me that thinks that these two guys are both going to stand in the middle of the octagon and just club each other until somebody falls down. But there's also something about me that thinks that each person will think the other person wants to stand, and so each person has secretly a game plan to take the other person down. Yeah, like I think maybe Tim Haig has the secret game plan of taking Mitrione down and trying to submit him, and I think Mitrione might have this secret game plan of doing the exact same thing to Tim Haig. So this could turn into a I don't even know what I'm saying. They could.
Well, I see where you're going with it, but I would say that if either of these guys would want to, I think that Matt Mitrione will be the one that wants to stand and bang more so than Tim Haig, because I think it's historically proven in his fights. Matt Mitrione just gets a big dumb grin on his face and just slugs.
That's true.
You're
right.
He does like that. So yeah. I don't know. I think that's tough to do against a guy of Tim Haig's size, though. It's one thing to do that to Kimbo Slice. It's another thing to do that to a guy like Tim Haig. And I'm not speaking so much specifically about Tim Haig's abilities as a striker. I'm talking more about the fact that he's just freaking huge.
Yeah.
He's a big man.
Yeah, I have once again two more things to say. One, I don't think that Matt Mitrione's nickname Meathead is going to be changed anything to like, Master Strategist or Brainiac starting after this fight. So he probably is.
Like the Professor Wilson or something?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. He's going to be, there's a reason his name Meathead, and it's not because he's a Master Strategist, right? So I don't think he's going to get in there and all of a sudden do something that gives us all an epiphany of how brilliant he is. He's probably going to stand there and trade with Tim Haig. Second thing, when you said Kimbo, it reminded me, the guy that I interviewed last week, Raddy Ferguson, I read his bio on Wikipedia, he's actually the cousin of Kimbo Slice. But talking to that guy...
No way.
Yeah, talking to that guy threw me for such a mental loop. Just talking to him was just
I heard that interview because you had me so curious. I listened to that interview, by the way.
And what did you think of it?
Well, I felt like I was listening to Bruce Lee for a second there when he talked about, like, he blew my frickin' mind when he talked about the system of the omoplata. Because I never heard it talked about like that. And I was like, dude, that is really, really an esoteric and very Eastern way. I get what he's saying, but I'm kind of like, dude, that's like talking about the system of the uppercut. When I talk about the uppercut, I think of all combinations thereof that could go into. Yeah, I don't know. He was. He's got a little bit of a Yoda thing going on a few levels.
Yeah,
but
okay. So, first of all, when he talked about the system of the omoplata, every legitimate Brazilian jiu-jitsu school trains like that. Nobody just trains the omoplata and then never experiments with other things that could happen. If he does this, then you do that. No, you know what I mean? So what he was talking about, the system of this and the system of that, that's not special. I mean, that's literally every jiu-jitsu club I've ever trained at, which is dozens of different clubs. Everybody does that. Anyway, my point is that when I was talking to Raddy Ferguson, he mentally threw me for a pawn, so I never even got to ask him about the whole Kimbo Slice, is Kimbo Slice your cousin thing. So I don't know, whatever. I don't know why I feel it necessary to mention that during this podcast, but last week the interview was so weird that I didn't get to I forgot to even ask him that. But
yeah, you sounded it was entertaining. Since I know you, it was pretty entertaining to listen to your verbal reactions to the interview after having known that you were already thrown off by that guy.
Yeah, it was really strange. It was like he's one of those guys where he's got like, all these degrees and stuff, but talking to him is like talking to a crazy person. You know what I mean? It's just he's speaking English, I'm speaking English, but we're just not hearing each other or something like that. I don't know, whatever. Let's move on. So we talked about Melvin Guillard versus Evan Dunham, and I think we're both going with Evan Dunham on that one. Matt Mitrione versus Tim Hague. I have no idea who's going to win that fight. Do you have a pick on that one or no?
My hunch is Matt Mitrione.
Well, why don't you go with the
American? My hunch is Matt Mitrione.
You go with the American, I'll go with the Canadian, and then next week we'll see who's right.
Yeah, that's nice and neat. That's right down the middle. I like that.
All right, so next fight, Mark the Machine Hominick versus George Roop. George Roop is the guy that kicked the Korean zombie in the head and knocked him unconscious.
Indeed he did.
Yeah.
Indeed he did. No, it's too bad after we just seen the Korean zombie have one of the craziest slugfest, beat each other up behind the 7-Eleven fight we've ever seen in MMA when he fought the guy. Who's that guy? Help me out.
George Roop? You mean Leonard Garcia?
Who was the guy?
Leonard Garcia.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Chan Sung-jung fought Leonard Garcia and then moved on to get kicked in the head by George Roop, who is 145 pounds and 6 foot 1 inch tall.
That's incredible. He's 6'1"?
Yeah. He's 6 foot 1 and 100.
Man, I am shredding weight for my fight, and I just got down to weight. I'm 180, and I feel shrunken. I can't even imagine 141.
Well,
that's incredible. I'm 6 feet. I'm 1 inch shorter than him.
Yeah, and Mark Hominick is 5'8" and 145 pounds. So
and is also a machine.
Yeah, and is
He's
also
a machine as well.
Yes, he is. But I'm no master of math. But according to my use of mathematics, I think that George Roop is going to be like a foot taller than Mark the Machine Hominick. The difference between 5'8" and 6 foot 1 is like, wow, it's stupid. But
yeah, that's a lot. But I'll say this. I mean, Mark Hominick, he's a badass man.
He really
I like
is.
watching him fight.
Yeah, and he's coming off a split decision win over Leonard Garcia, which could be in the history of the world the only time the judges have actually gone against Leonard Garcia.
That's true.
Who is Leonard Garcia is one of the luckiest fighters.
I love that dude.
The judges love him.
And honestly, I love the guy too. I don't know why he wants to. I don't know why Leonard Garcia is actively trying to have problems later in life with his health, but he seems to be. But I guess I should say thank you to him because he always entertains me with his death wish.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Mark the Machine Hominick, skipping back into the fight here with George Roop, I think Mark the Machine Hominick is going to put a clinic on this fight on how to get inside the striking of a taller guy.
Really? I have two things.
He's got great head movement. He's got really good timing. That's my favorite thing about Mark the Machine Hominick is that his I think he's gonna. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but I could completely see him having Joe Rogan and Goldie saying, "Whoa, look at that! Blah 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 blah," as he dances and moves in and out of range.
Yeah, but what you just said, that's what Joe Rogan and Goldie, as you say, that's what they say during every fight, literally every fight. They say "whoa" a lot of times. All right. If I were to summarize what's going to happen,
I didn't mean just whoa. I'm not saying. Anyway, go ahead.
So according to you, that Mark Hominick is going to make Joe Rogan and Goldie, whatever, he's going to make them say "whoa." That's what your opinion is. That's your very.
Yeah, that is out of all of that. As you apparently were checking your Facebook status while I was talking, or whatever the hell you were doing. Yeah, that's all that I said. I said that Mark Machine Hominick is going to make Joe Rogan say "whoa." Well, and I did use the word Goldie to refer to Goldberg, since that seems to rattle you as well.
I agree with you, but I will go the extra step and actually say how he will make them say "whoa." He will make them say "whoa" with the use of leg kicks. George Roop, who is like 11 feet tall and basically a walking spaghetti noodle, Mark Hominick is going to kick the hell out of George Roop's legs. That's what I say.
I got no problem with that. I mean, I do have a problem with that. That sounds very painful, but I would agree with you.
Good. Excellent.
I think that's astute, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen the movie Dinner for Schmucks, starring Steve Carell?
I have not yet. I hear that is enjoyable, though.
I rented it last night, and it was 60% crap and 40% hysterical. I've never seen a movie that alternates between being so boring and so funny. Like, because there's cameos in it. Like, have you ever seen Flight of the Conchords?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The guy Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords, he's in it. And also Zach Galifianakis is in it. When they're on screen, it's great. When they are on screen, it is hysterical. When they are not on screen, you want to dig your own eyes out with a fork.
Yeah, Zach Galifianakis is quite possibly one of the funniest people in the world, and actually one that I am extremely happy is having success right now, because I used to go see him do stand-up comedy, and I always wondered why that guy wasn't famous yet. And then he blew up with The Hangover. So
yeah, have you seen the fake Smirnoff ads that he has like up on YouTube or whatever?
I showed that to you.
Oh, you were the guy that told me about that.
Yeah, we watched with Tim and Eric, the Tim and Eric vodka commercial where they're on the beach, and he says,
Yeah. So okay. Well, then you have, because you're the guy that told me about them in the first place. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Pat Barry, the kickboxer. Pat H.D. Barry. What does the H.D. even stand for? Does that stand for high definition?
It does. High definition, because he's defined. I don't know. He's defined highly. Go ahead.
He can't be high definition. What if I'm watching him on a regular TV? What if I'm watching him on my computer? What if I download the fight later and I watch it on my laptop? He's not high definition then. He can't call himself Pat H.D. Barry if he's not in HD, and he won't be in HD if I watch him on a regular TV. What if I record him on a VHS cassette and then I leave that for like a year and the quality of the picture degrades over time? As the magnetic signal leaves the tape. Then I'm definitely not watching him in high def. What if I watch him, in some way where he's not high def? He can't be HD Barry. That's like calling yourself like 3D. You're not 3D. If I'm not wearing the glasses, you're not 3D. You're just
3D Barry.
Yeah, you're just all pixelated. And incidentally, I got one more thing to say about 3D. All right, listen to this. I went and saw the movie The Green Hornet. Okay, starring Seth Rogen. Awesome movie. I saw it in 3D. The movie's not 3D. Okay, let me ask it. Let me make a statement. Okay, 3D.
Okay.
3D is. It stands for 3 dimensions. When you watch a movie in 3D, that means something is supposed to come off the screen towards you. It's not just supposed to be 2-dimensional. Just because I'm wearing glasses does not make a movie 3D. Just because you shoot it in 3D and I wear glasses when I watch it, it's not 3D if nothing seems to come towards me. You know what I mean? Like watching The Green Hornet in 3D was exactly like watching a 2-dimensional movie, with the exception of I had to wear glasses over my existing glasses because I wear glasses normally, right? Which
is irritating. Quite irritating.
Now I'm wearing 2 pair of glasses to watch a movie in 2 dimensions. That's 1 pair of glasses per dimension.
Yeah.
So if you're
I can see how that'd be frustrating.
And then nothing even lunged. There were no hornets lunging off the TV towards me. None. The whole movie was in 2 dimensions.
Are there actual hornets in The Green Hornet?
No.
Is that what that was all about?
No, there are no hornets.
Yeah.
Well, there is a hornet. There is one. It stings a guy.
And that's Seth Rogen.
No, actually it's a bee earlier in the movie. Doesn't matter. The point is, The Green Hornet, excellent movie. I laughed really hard, but don't bother seeing it. Don't see it in 3D because it's not. Nothing comes off the screen. You got to wear the glasses just to make it look 2-dimension. You know what I mean? I feel like. Am I wrong? Is my definition?
No, I understand that. I think that also I appreciate the fact that we're now giving the listeners some expert entertainment advice. It's not necessarily MMA. I mean, we told them about the Zach Galifianakis vodka commercials that you can see on YouTube, and now they know that The Green Hornet is a hilarious movie,
it's really
yet doesn't really give you that 3D experience.
Nope, doesn't.
But that 40% of the time during Dinner for Schmucks, I'm recapping for you, 40% of the time when you watch Dinner for Schmucks, you will be entertained.
Yeah, that's basically right. You just missed over the part in The Green Hornet. You have to wear the glasses.
Oh, yeah, and you have to wear 2 pairs of glasses to accomplish.
Just the one. You have to wear the 3D glasses. You don't have to wear my glasses. They're mine. But if you go in there wearing glasses, you'll have to wear another pair over your glasses.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get back to the fight.
I'm just saying we're giving them pearls.
Very
That's
nice.
what I'm saying.
Good. So, Pat Barry, who, now that I'm thinking about it, should be a spokesperson for a kind of sugary cereal. You know what I mean? Like Count Chocula, right? Frankenberry, Pat Berry. Do you see any correlations there?
No, it feels like you're reaching on that.
Okay,
like you're reaching. I'm just saying.
Pat Berry versus Joey Beltran. Joey Beltran's nickname, the Mexicutioner, which I do think should be some kind of meal at Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Pat Berry fan. I really like Pat Berry's personality, his charisma. He's goofy, he's funny. He's a serious fighter that, at the end of the day, is respectful, and he seems to be well aware that he is in the entertainment business, and that it's a fight, but it's also entertainment. It's you don't have to hate your competitor that you're fighting against, and you can always you can say crazy shit and make people laugh, and people appreciate that. And so I just really like Pat Berry. He's also has massive athletic. His striking is very good. I think for MMA, he's one of the better strikers. The thing that's tough about him, I think that one of the best things about the guy, and also one of the most challenging things about him, is he's a short heavyweight. He's enormous, but he's actually not very tall. And so in that sense, he reminds me a lot of Mike Tyson, who in the heavyweight division of boxing was he was fighting in something like that, but he was only like 6'2" or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of, Pat Berry has the MMA physical equivalent of a guy like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, so Pat Berry reminds you of Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson with a savage leg kick.
You know who
an absolutely savage leg kick.
You know who Pat Berry reminds me of?
Who's that?
You know the guy from the Goonies, Sloth, the guy with the head. It's kind of strangely shaped, and the hey, you guys.
Oh, come on, man!
What?
I knew you were going to do that, and that just fucks up. Anyway,
it's true. Tell me Pat Berry doesn't remind you of that. Tell me with a straight face that Pat Berry does not remind you a little bit of that guy. Just the way he talks.
Okay, fine. He has a little bit of a googly eye. Yeah, I know. Pat Berry has a little bit of a googly eye.
It's not just the eye; it's the way he talks and like some other stuff too. This, his sense. It's just there's a couple things.
He's got a little bit of a New Orleans kind of, I don't know, New Orleans antebellum South kind of accent that I think is kind of cool too, making him seem like a guy like one of the fun, cool side characters in an action movie.
Nope.
That's what he reminds me of.
Nope, Sloth from the Goonies. It's an open and shut case. Hey, who's going to win this fight? Because Pat Berry's a kickboxer, and Joey Beltran, in addition to being named after a lethally high-calorie meal from Taco Bell, is a wrestler.
That doesn't quite exist yet, but should.
Tell me that if Taco Bell had a meal called the Mexicutioner that was like a 30,000 calorie meal, tell me you wouldn't go try it just once. You would try that. I'm still looking to get one of the. I'm still looking to get one of those double down sandwiches from KFC, and I can't find it.
Oh man!
I'm still trying to find it.
That's a sandwich is wrong. I've never had it, but it's a wrong thing.
Hey, it's 2 pieces of chicken with cheese in the middle. That's awesome, okay? I would try. I wouldn't make a habit of it, but I would try it if I could find it, and I can't. I'm saying this. If Taco Bell had a meal called the Mexicutioner, I'd buy it. At least once. But they don't. Let's get back to the fight. Pat Berry versus Joey Beltran. Who's going to win? My guess, Mexicutioner.
And why is that?
Because Pat Berry once got choked by Tim Hague.
Here comes the case for Pat Berry. I think Pat Berry's going to win this fight because I don't think this Mexicutioner guy, in all of the fights that we've seen with him, which I believe are 3, he beat up the Gracie guy.
Yeah,
which was one of the most appalling fights in the history of the UFC.
Yeah, he made Holes Gracie look like a 3-year-old that's broken into his uncle's liquor cabinet.
That was an incredibly piss-poor performance by someone in the UFC, and I feel really bad for him.
Yep.
Actually, even invoking that fight makes me ashamed. Feel like I've done something wrong.
Hey, at least
anyway,
you're ashamed. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm the guy that's like putting on the pajamas and doing the Gracie jiu-jitsu, and now I'm seeing Holes Gracie, who, Goes in there and looks.
Yeah, that's actually true. I would. Yeah, it's like your guy.
Yeah, he's not my guy. He's not my guy in the same way that what's his name, Batista is your boy or whatever you were saying. But still,
Yeah.
When there's a fight between a jiu-jitsu guy and a wrestler, I'm rooting for the jiu-jitsu guy. And if he comes out there and
Sure.
he looks like a drunk 3-year-old, I'm not going to be happy about that. But anyway.
Beltran fought him, and then he fought Mitrione.
No, he fought him, and then he fought Tim Hague and beat Tim Hague by unanimous decision. Then he fought Mitrione and lost by a unanimous decision. So,
Well, in all those fights, though, he likes to stand and bang.
Does he?
I think that's why. And I think that's probably why Joe Silva put these guys together. Is that Beltran is certainly going to oblige a guy like Pat Barry. I think that a guy like Pat Barry, that's all he needs. He's going to chop him down with the leg kicks. He's got good boxing. The other thing about Pat Barry is his hands are great.
Mm-hmm.
His hands are great. When you're in the heavyweight division, as you know, it's bad enough taking shots from a heavyweight wearing boxing gloves, but when you're in 4-ounce gloves, shit can happen really, really quickly. And finally, in the sport of MMA at that weight class.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it's going to be a good fight. I don't think Joey Beltran is going to take him down. I think he's going to oblige him to strike, and I think it's going to be at his peril.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. At least once in the fight, Pat Barry will kick Joey Beltran in the leg so hard that Beltran will instinctively lean down and put his fingers on the floor as if he were picking up his own mustache.
Who was the guy that he got? There was a European guy that Pat Barry submitted with leg kicks in the UFC, something we haven't seen very often. But he straight up submitted a guy just like that, and he did what he did was almost exactly what you're describing.
I'm looking at his record right now. First fight, TKO leg kicks. Second fight, KO head kick. Third fight, TKO leg kicks. Fourth fight, TKO leg kicks. Dan Evanson.
Yeah, Dan Evanson was the guy in the UFC. If that doesn't tell you a guy can kick hard, I don't know what does.
Yeah, he's got 3 TKOs by leg kicks. And since then, he lost by submission to Tim Hague. He TKO'd Anthony Hordonk, and then he lost by rear naked choke to Mirko Krokop Filipovic. But I'm saying this. He's going to kick Beltran in the leg so hard that Beltran his one leg will just brush away, and he'll instinctively, to avoid falling over, go to sort of a tripod stance that will look like he has dropped his mustache and he is picking it up.
Yeah, and I'm not going to disagree with that.
All right.
I think that's...
Well, then let's move on.
I think that's just fine.
Yeah, let's move on. Cole Miller, who's no relation to Dan Miller or Jim Miller. There's a third Miller, Cole Miller, who trains at American Top Team. Cole Miller is also another one of these guys who is like 6 feet tall. He's 6'1" and 155 pounds. That's like George Roop is 6'1", 145. Cole Miller, 6'1", 155. And he's fighting handsome Matt Wyman, who... You know what? When I say the name Matt Wyman, the only thing that really comes to mind, first of all, is the flying knee that Spencer Fisher put him away with, like, back in the day. And that was like...
And that's a real shame, though, man. That's a real shame, because he's done a lot of legitimately good things.
I suppose. In his last fight, Matt Wyman won. He beat Mac Danzig by a guillotine choke. That was the one up here in Vancouver where they stopped it, and then there was immediately all kinds of protest because Mac Danzig said he didn't tap, and the referee had been pulling at his arm, and Mac Danzig was completely immobile. Here's the thing, Mac Danzig. I'm talking to you now as if you were Mac Danzig. If someone is choking you, okay, and the referee is pulling at your arm, if you remain completely immobile, if you play dead while in a choke, the referee will stop the fight. That's just how it is. Lesson learned, Mac Danzig. Anyway, so now Matt Wyman comes back and takes on Cole Miller, who is, like I said, really tall for his size.
I like Cole Miller. I like Cole Miller to win this fight. I think that he's got a great game. His jiu-jitsu is really solid. His striking looks good. Yeah, Cole Miller's has easily moved himself to the top of the division, and I think that
Cole Miller's last fight was a rear naked choke win over Ross Pearson. His fight before that was a Kimura submission over Dan Lozon, right? Yeah, And Dan Lozon is the brother of Joe Lozon, right?
Yep.
And Joe Lozon.
Correct.
Here, and just follow me here. Join me for this little adventure. And Joe Lozon, hold on. Where is it? Oh no, see, I thought I was trying to make some kind of little thing of it, but no, it was.
Beat down Matt.
Yeah, he beat down Gabe Rudiger. But I thought, did he ever fight Matt Wyman? I don't think he ever did. Whatever. I've completely gone off track. It doesn't matter. I still think Cole Miller's going to win. I think Matt Wyman's going to get submitted. That's my call.
And I agree. I think that Matt Wyman, though he is tough, and it really is sad that that's the only thing you can that you remember when you think of this dude, because he does have some legitimately top performances. But I think that Cole Miller's going to. He's just a dynamic fighter. I think that he's a winner. I think he's going to stay at the top of his division and be around for a long time, if not a belt contender in the next couple of years.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a pretty good card. I mean, all other fights on here, DeMarcus Johnson, who is one of Jeremy Horn's top guys and an Ultimate Fighter veteran. He's fighting Michael Gaiman, the Joker, Mike Gaiman, who isn't that the guy that has suffered from depression and all kinds of crazy shit? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So those two are fighting. And also on this card, we got Eve Edwards, who's been in and out of the UFC for 20 years, fighting Cody McKenzie, who is the master of the guillotine choke. And then one fight that I'm actually kind of excited to see is Hani Yahya, who's a Hickson Gracie black belt. He's fighting Mike Brown, former WEC champion Mike Brown, and that's buried in the undercard. How weird is that?
That's a great fight. Can we rewind real fast?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to talk about?
Did you just say Eve Edwards is fighting the Alaskan guy that has the choke?
Yeah, Eve Edwards, who's been around MMA.
That was on the last Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah, Eve Edwards, whose current MMA record is 39-16-1, and his first fight in MMA was in 1997.
God.
Yeah, he's fighting the guy with. Let's just take a look at his record. Hold on a second here. Let me just see how many wins this guy has by guillotine choke now. I'm pretty sure he's.
I got a little sick to my stomach.
Yeah. So let's see. Cody McKenzie, 12-0, and all his wins except for his first two wins. First one punches, second one triangle choke, and now he's got 10 in a row that are guillotine choke. So let me ask you: is Eve Edwards going to be able to avoid the guillotine choke of Cody McKenzie? I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. And then I don't even want to talk about the rest of these fights. I'm just excited that Hani Yahya is going to fight Mike Thomas. I don't even know how to say his name. I'm just excited to see it. That's the guy that he beat Leo Vieira at an Abu Dhabi a couple of years ago, and I was ringside, and they were upside down for a while. It was crazy. Anyway, so I don't want to talk anymore about this stuff. UFC Fight for the Troops 2. It's coming up January 22nd in Fort Hood, Texas. Yeehaw, bang bang, American Pie, and all that crap. So yeah, I'll watch it. I will watch it, and I will watch it, and I will be offended as the UFC continues to draw parallel logic between fighting in a cage and killing somebody in a war.
That really does get about it, doesn't it?
I have no. You're breaking up so badly. I don't even know what you're saying. So I'm just going to hang up on you now. And everybody else, stick around for an interview with Trevor Prangley, who's fighting Roger Gracie coming up in Strikeforce. Craziness.
Full Contact Fighter Radio is produced, written, and recorded by Jeff Wombat Mazaris. If you would like to advertise or appear on Full Contact Fighter Radio, or if you have a comment about the show, email wombat@fcfighter.com. Music for this podcast has been provided by podsafeaudio.com. Contact Fighter Radio is sponsored by the Full Contact Fighter Pro Shop, your one-stop shopping destination for no-holds-barred fight videos and FCF gear, including hats, fight shorts, sweatpants, shirts, and more. Order and get a free issue of Full Contact Fighter, the #1 no-holds-barred and mixed martial arts publication in the world. Click FCF Shop at fcfighter.com.
Okay, welcome back to Full Contact Fighter Radio with myself, Jeff Wombat Mazaris. We're joined now by Trevor Prangley, who's going to be facing Roger Gracie in the upcoming Strikeforce card on January 29th. Mr. Prangley, how are you today?
Good, thanks, bud. How you doing?
I am swell. So, fighting a guy like Roger Gracie, the secret, I guess, is the secret don't go to the ground with the guy? Is that it? Is that as simple as it gets?
I think it's a little more complex. You know what I mean? I think he's little better rounded than just not going to the ground with him, you know what I mean? So I'm going to have to be on top of my game everywhere. You know, he's long, he's awkward, he's got a nice straight jab. I'm going to have to get by him, and there's a lot of things, you know what I mean? It's not a matter of fighting the way I usually fight, which is to, try and close the distance and cause a bunch of damage, because he's going to try and grab me and drag me to the ground. So it's quite an adjustment for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's like for 205 pounds, he's just crazy tall for 205. And, so he's going to have a bit of a height advantage on you, but I know I've seen lots of your fights, and I know you like to throw hard shots to the body. Does his height open up body shots for you?
I would think, like I said, I first got to beat the jab and get by. I'm prepared to get in there for the first round, and, I'm going to formulate my game plan while I'm in there. I'm just not exactly sure, you know what I mean, what he's going to do. You know, he's got such limited fight footage, and I'm just, going to take it one step at a time and do my best to come out on top and to keep him off of me.
Yeah. So
we all know where he wants the fight to go, you know.
Yeah, no kidding. So his last fight, was that the one against Kevin Randleman there in Strikeforce?
Yes.
Yeah, and so Randleman seems to kind of be tailor-made for him. I mean, his first fight was against Ron Waterman, and then his last fight was against Kevin Randleman. And these guys just wanted to get him down, and that seems to be sort of the wrong game plan against him, you know? I guess Kevin Randleman was trying to stand with him, but eventually wrestling instincts took over. He took him down, and we all saw what happened.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And so, I'm going to try and avoid that instinct on the wrestling side. Should try and take him down and just stand there and bang like I have been doing my last few fights, and hopefully I can beat him to the punch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I say, there's awkward bastards, but it's not going to be an easy task.
No, but I mean, in wrestling there seems to be two kinds of wrestlers. There's the Mark Coleman kind that ground and pounds people, and then there's sort of the Dan Henderson style that sort of is a sprawl and brawl. And you seem to be more, I mean, of the fights I've seen, which is quite a few of your fights, you seem to be more of a sprawl and brawl kind of guy. I mean, that's how you beat Andrei Semenov, and that's how you beat, Yuki Kondo. Excuse me. That's how you've beaten almost everybody I've seen. So I think that presents much more of a problem for Roger Gracie than the take him down style of wrestler.
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, he wants to be taken down, let's face it. I mean, he might not want to be on his back, but I think he'd rather be on his back than on the feet, you know?
Yeah. And so your last fight was against Keith Jardine, and you won by split decision. I didn't get a chance to see that fight. That was in Shark Fights. I don't think a lot of people had a chance to see that one. Can you run down kind of what happened in that event?
Yeah, really, it wasn't a split decision. I don't know what the one judge was looking at, to be honest with you. I won the first two rounds convincingly, and then, kind of cruised the third round. He's a big guy, and I haven't fought 205 for a while, so I got a little tired there at the end of the third, and he came alive in the last 40 seconds and won the third round. So it should have been 29-28 across the board, is what everybody believes except the one judge. So.
And was that?
I'm not sure yet.
Was that one in a ring or was that in a cage?
No, big cage. It was a huge cage. The Chalk Fight's got a big cage. I think it's like over 30 foot across. It's really big. So it was a good show, and it was a good win for me. Can't complain about it.
Yeah. So I mean, you're coming off a win. Now you're fighting Roger Gracie, and you're going to be fighting him in a cage as well. And I guess just try and keep your back off the cage. You want to try and keep it in the mid. When you're fighting a grappler like that in the cage, you want to keep your back kind of off the cage. Are you going to try and stay away from the wall or try and use the wall to your advantage? How do you utilize the wall against a guy like Gracie?
Yeah, I think for me the best way to do it is going to be to avoid the wall. You know, he's a big dude, like we talked about, tall, lanky, awkward, and I think I don't want to have him hanging on my neck all fight. You know what I mean? It's going to be a long night if I let him get a hold and hang all over me and carry his weight and just a bunch of. I think he's quite willing to, wrap you up in a front headlock or something, drag you to the ground, and try and get you from there.
Yeah.
I just want to be there.
Yeah. With a guy like him, I mean, even being in his guard seems like sort of a dangerous proposition. I still can't believe he submitted Ron Waterman from his guard. I mean, Waterman's like 280, and Roger Gracie got him in his guard and submitted him with an armbar from his back. I still don't understand how that's even possible.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. No, he's. For the amount of jiu-jitsu he's done, he's probably deceivingly strong in the forearm and arm position. I mean, I don't want to get into any kind of dangerous situation with him, and hopefully I can power my way out of him. But, with a guy that as talented as he is, I would just be foolish
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, with no kimono on, he has limited amount of stuff to grips, but if he's going to submit you, if he's going to go for a triangle, if he's going to go for an armbar, he has to open his guard to go for that stuff. So as soon as you feel his feet uncrossed, just back up and stand up and say, hey, let's get this thing going.
Yep, I think that'd probably be the smartest way to do it. You know what I mean? Just sit there and play in his guard would just be, you're looking at probably one of the most decorated jiu-jitsu guys ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm confident in my jiu-jitsu, but I'm not that confident. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So, I've seen footage of him and some pictures of him on the internet training with Georges St. Pierre and a few other guys. Who are you training with to get ready for this?
I train with AKA and my team, you know what I mean? And I don't move around. I've had success with them for 8 years, and I'll stay here.
Yeah.
I don't care who you train with. You're not going to pick up that much from training with St. Pierre for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? People who move around, but I think I'm making a mistake. I think you need to get a base camp and go from there. You know?
Yeah. And let's just run down who's the AKA. That's Cain Velasquez, right?
Cain Velasquez, John Fitch, Josh Koscheck, Kyle Kingsbury, Daniel Cormier. We can just keep going on. We've got Mark Ellison there, Thompson.
Yeah.
A bunch of new up-and-comers that just not known yet, but just as tough as anybody out there. You know?
Yeah. So that's no joke. You're training with like the best of the best, you know?
Yeah, pretty much best in the world, man. I believe our team is the best team in the world. Everyone we have there is built from the ground up.
And speaking of some of their upcoming fights, like Cain Velasquez is going to he's in for surgery right now, but he'll be fighting the winner of Brock Lesnar versus Junior Dos Santos. And I don't think either of those guys are going to be able to hang with Cain Velasquez. The skills that guy has, I think, he seems to me now like Fedor used to be when Fedor was kind of like, back in Pride, like younger.
Yeah, Cain's just an unbelievable athlete. If you looked at him, he's not a very human-looking guy. He's not huge. He's not muscular and stuff like that. Man, the guy's just got a gas tank. He's super determined, got heart for days, and you know what I mean? He works hard. That guy puts in as much work as anybody in the gym, which is unusual for a heavyweight. I just don't see anybody beating him for a long time.
Yeah. The thing about Cain Velasquez that amazes me is his chin. When he fought Czech Congo hit him with some shots that would have killed the average guy. And I haven't seen someone survive things like that since, like, Randleman suplexed Fedor. Like, he's got that kind of machine quality that Fedor had, I guess, before he got triangled. Have you even seen Cain in the gym even wobbled?
Well, that fight with Czech Congo is about as bad as it ever got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's fought a lot down here, and he's just the guy's just tough, man. I don't even know how to put it in words. He's really just a freak of nature, to be honest with you. Nobody of his size should be able to move and have the kind of agility and cardio that he has.
Yeah, it's insane. And then John Fitch, your other teammate, he's got an upcoming fight against BJ Penn. And I just see him outworking. He's going to outwork BJ Penn the same way I think that Georges St. Pierre outworked BJ Penn. Penn's in a tough spot because he's kind of like he's too slow to handle a guy like Frankie Edgar, but he's too small for a guy like Fitch. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? I think and John's already looking great. You know what I mean? Camp's in full swing, and he really looks like he's ready to fight. He's that far out, so I'm excited for him. You know what I mean? Fitch, one of those guys, just doesn't get the recognition from anybody. It's almost like he reminds me of myself a lot, kind of fly under the radar a little bit, you know what I mean? And he's always reached a lot more success than I have in his career, but he's just one of those guys that deserves a lot more credit than he gets, and I'm excited for him to win this fight.
Yeah, so let's get back to talking about the card you're on. The main event is Nick Diaz versus Evangelista Santos. What do you think of that? Santos has some power, but he's kind of like not really too much in the public spotlight right now, so this is kind of like sort of a Rocky story almost. Diaz is the champion. People don't really know Santos as much as they know Diaz. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, they don't, obviously, but I think it's going to be an exciting fight. If you've ever watched Santos fight, he brings it, and obviously we all know Nick Diaz comes to fight every night, so, I just don't see that fight going the distance, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I just don't see it going the distance. Someone's going to be the champ.
Yeah.
In under 5 rounds.
Yeah. And then I think the fight I'm almost more excited about is the fight between Jacare Ronaldo Souza and Robbie Lawler. Jacare is the decorated jiu-jitsu guy, and Lawler, man, he is a knockout killer. I thought he had seriously killed Matt Lindland. He even corrected Lindland's feet after knocking him out. Insane.
Yeah, and then, I mean, Lawler's just he's a different kind of animal when it comes to striking. I just don't see Sosa being able to hang with him, you know what I mean? I just, for one, people don't know how hard it is to take Robbie Lawler down. You know, I've watched a lot of his fights, and even when they do get him down, he seems to bounce right back up, and if he's in shape, I just don't see Jacare having his way with him, you know, especially after the first round. Jacare seems to gas a little bit. You know, I watched his fight with Kennedy, and after the first round, he just sat back and tried to counterpunch, and Robbie's not the kind of guy you want to sit there and try and counterpunch with, you know?
Yeah. The only fight that comes to mind when I look at this one is when Lawler, he fought Jake Shields, and I believe he got, like, guillotined by Jake Shields, who's another jiu-jitsu guy. But if Souza can't get a hold of Lawler's neck or an arm, he's going to get beaten to death.
But Jake's got a whole different kind of style to Souza, you know what I mean? And so I don't see that happening to him again.
So
if I was a betting man, my money would probably be on Robbie.
Yeah, I think I'm siding with you. So the card's coming up January 29th. It's still 10 days away. What's left for you between now and fight time?
Hey man, just not getting hurt. I'm ready to go. You know, I'm just getting through my last hard week, keeping my sparring going. I had really good sparring today. Probably the best sparring on my whole camp, so I was really happy. I just don't want to get hurt. You know, I got a couple of little things going on that I'm trying to nurse through this last hard week. Next week, relaxing, just cardio and mitts and stuff. And you know, I don't have to even make weight this time. I'll probably just, like when I fought Jardina, weighed in at 203 pounds, probably be around the same this time. And it's such a stress relief off my, you know, that I don't have to cut that weight, you know.
Okay, well,
makes the whole game a lot more pleasant.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So anyway, good luck in your fight. Thanks again for being on the show, and good luck in your upcoming fight against Roger Gracie. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. See you later. Bye-bye.
Full Contact Fighter Radio is produced, written, and recorded by Jeff Wombat Mazaris. If you would like to advertise or appear on Full Contact Fighter Radio, or if you have a comment about the show, email wombat@fcfighter.com. Music for this podcast has been provided by podsafeaudio.com. Contact Fighter Radio is sponsored by the Full Contact Fighter Pro Shop, your one-stop shopping destination for no-holds-barred fight videos and FCF gear, including hats, fight shorts, sweatpants, shirts, and more. Order and get a free issue of Full Contact Fighter, the #1 no-holds-barred and mixed martial arts publication in the world. Click FCF Shop at fcfighter.com.